Right, Mark, just Permian's just exercised there. How do you feel 2 days before the Derby?
Surprisingly relaxed, because I really feel there's nothing more I can do now, and I think the preparation's been so straightforward because the Derby was not on our radar at the beginning of the season. It's very unorthodox for us running in the Derby, particularly one of the fancied runners, fourth favourite, and he's had 4 runs already, starting with a Bath handicap. So he's had those 4 runs. The preparation for each run has been exactly the same. He's gone through the same routine exercise. There's been no racecourse gallops. There's been no gallops at home since before his first run of the season. So there's really been nothing special for us to do, nothing for us to plan. Just we've taken him to the races 4 times. He's done all his galloping on the racecourse. The last one being a win in the Dante. What better preparation for the Derby could you have?
So is that his last piece of work before Saturday?
He'll do exactly the same tomorrow morning. He'll do 2 6-furlong canters, which is what he's been doing 5 days a week for all this season.
And then travel down to Epsom Saturday morning?
He will travel down to Epsom lunchtime Friday.
Right.
Jock will decide what time they leave and so on. Quite often for a big race like that on a Friday, we've got to try and time it with London traffic. You don't want to be stuck 2 hours trying to get round the M25. So I don't know, he may decide to send them off early or earlier than normal on Friday, or he may decide to send them off a bit later and miss the rush hour that way.
I mean, Cracksman's the favourite for the race, and Permian was beaten a nose by Cracksman at Epsom. How do you feel, about that kind of combination, the 2 horses? What chance has Permian got of beating Cracksman?
I think he's got a more than reasonable chance of beating Cracksman. I also think it's perfectly right that Cracksman should be more fancied and a much shorter price for the Derby than Permian. He has had an absolutely orthodox preparation in that he's been aimed for the Derby all along. He's only had 2 starts, which has to be a disadvantage, except in that they can quite understandably expect that he is going to improve significantly for the experience of that Epsom run, and you'd expect virtually any horse to. I think they all improve from their first run to their second, and most improve thereafter as well with the first few runs. Permian much more exposed, but at the same time we actually can be fairly certain that Permian has improved. His 2 runs since that Epsom start look to have been a step up. We think that we're fairly confident that he will be better suited by the mile and a half than he was by the mile and a quarter that day. Somebody said to me a couple of days ago that they felt had they gone further at Epsom that Cracksman would have pulled away. I'd have to watch it again, but I'm not at all certain of that. I've freely admitted that we got first run on Cracksman, got the run of the race, and he did well to get out of the pocket he was in and come and catch us. But he joined us a bit out, and they went head for head. And I would say when they passed the line, that Permian wasn't giving in. It wasn't a case of Cracksman was getting the better of us. It was simply that he got it on the nod. I think most people there thought, I'm not actually sure how the betting on the photo was going, but certainly most people around me and talking to me thought that Permian had won it. So it wasn't a case of that Cracksman had got up just in time and was then pulling away. He certainly wasn't. So, I think there's every chance that we can turn the tables.
You've won the 2,000 guineas, you've won the 1,000 guineas. You came here to Middleham all those years ago saying you want to train classic winners from Middleham. You've done that. I mean, what would it mean to you, Middleham, the North, to win the Derby?
A huge amount, of course. Mean a huge amount. But at the same time, I think we've been at it so much longer now. We have, as you say, we've won 2 British Classics and we've won Irish Classics and other foreign classics. And I know an awful lot more about the business, and I realise now, looking at friends like William Haggis, who won the Derby a few years ago, and it wasn't life-changing for him or for his yard, and I think we're so established now that it wouldn't be life-changing for me the way Mr. Bailey's was, or wouldn't have the same effect on Midland as Mr. Bailey's did. We bought another yard and doubled in size on the back of the Mr. Bailey's Guineas win, and that wouldn't happen nowadays. But from a personal point of view, it would still be fantastic. And from a Midland point of view, maybe not for Lenny Peacock, but for the rest of us, it'd be wonderful not to be talking about the last Derby winner being in 1945.
Yeah.